In the dead of night, as most of Vietnam slept, a light burned bright across continents. It was 2 o'clock in the morning on November 23, 2025, but for Prime Minister Phạm Minh Chính, thousands of kilometers away in South Africa on a state visit, the distance meant nothing. The cries for help from his homeland were louder than any silence. He convened an urgent online meeting, a virtual command center connecting him directly to the heart of a national crisis. The Central Highlands and South Central Coast were submerged, battered by historic floods and landslides. This was not just a meeting, it was a testament to a leadership that transcends time zones and borders, a clear signal that when the people are in distress, the government does not rest. The Prime Minister's voice, though coming from afar, was filled with an unwavering sense of urgency and profound empathy. His opening words set the tone for the entire national response, a philosophy that would guide every action in the days to come. All for the people. This was not merely a slogan, but a solemn promise. He stressed that in these moments of profound hardship, the government must stand closer to its citizens than ever before. The ultimate priority, he declared, was the absolute protection of human life. Everything else, property, infrastructure, economic losses, was secondary. The focus had to be singular and resolute: save lives, ensure no one is left hungry or cold, and bring stability back to shattered communities. This directive was a powerful call to action, demanding that every official, from the highest levels of government to local cadres on the ground, must place themselves in the shoes of those affected. It was a call for empathy to become policy, for compassion to become action. The Prime Minister painted a vivid picture of the suffering, urging leaders to feel the cold of the floodwaters and the fear of those who had lost everything. This was a moment for the entire state apparatus to prove its dedication, to show that its true purpose is to serve and protect. The message was unequivocal: solutions must be swift, practical, and above all, humane, reflecting a government that truly listens and cares. The meeting itself was a symbol of modern governance and unwavering commitment. While the Prime Minister was engaged in crucial diplomatic work to elevate Vietnam's position on the world stage, his heart and mind were firmly with his people back home. He made it clear that foreign affairs and domestic crises are two sides of the same coin. Both are about securing a safe and prosperous future for the nation. This late-night session bridged the physical distance, transforming it into a powerful display of solidarity. It sent a message to every citizen trapped by the floods: you are not forgotten, you are not alone, and help is on its way, directed from the highest level, no matter the hour or the distance. The scale of the disaster that prompted this extraordinary meeting was staggering, a catastrophe of historic proportions. Since mid-November, relentless rains had hammered the provinces of Đắk Lắk, Gia Lai, Lâm Đồng, and Khánh Hòa, unleashing a fury that nature had not displayed in decades. Rivers swelled into raging torrents, their waters surging past all historical flood markers and bursting their banks with terrifying force. Entire towns and villages were swallowed by the deluge, turning familiar landscapes into vast, murky seas. The very ground beneath people's feet gave way, with devastating landslides carving through mountainsides, burying homes, and severing critical transportation arteries. The numbers began to paint a grim, heartbreaking picture of the chaos. The human cost was the most painful toll of all, a stark reminder of nature's indiscriminate power. Initial reports counted over 100 people dead or missing, each number representing a family torn apart, a community in mourning. In the midst of the crisis, over 119,000 people from nearly 39,000 households had to be evacuated, forced to flee their homes with little more than the clothes on their backs. At the peak of the flooding, a staggering 186,000 homes were submerged. The images were apocalyptic: rooftops peeking out from brown water, residents stranded and waving for help, and rescuers navigating treacherous currents to reach the most vulnerable. This was a humanitarian crisis unfolding in real time. The economic and infrastructural damage was equally catastrophic, threatening to set back development in the region for years. The preliminary estimate of the financial loss soared past 9,000 billion VND, a figure that could barely capture the true extent of the devastation. Over 80,000 hectares of vital crops and rice paddies were wiped out, destroying the livelihoods of countless farming families. More than 3.2 million livestock and poultry were lost, washed away by the currents. The arteries of the region were severed, national highways were blocked by landslides, and the north-south railway line was forced to halt, isolating communities and complicating rescue efforts. Schools, clinics, and public buildings, the very pillars of community life, were inundated and heavily damaged. For the people on the ground, this was more than a natural disaster. It was the complete disruption of life itself. Livelihoods built over generations were washed away in a matter of hours. Access to basic necessities like clean water, food, and medical care became a daily struggle. Children's education was abruptly halted as schools became submerged or repurposed as temporary shelters. The psychological trauma of witnessing such destruction and uncertainty lingered long after the waters began to recede. The challenge was not just about rebuilding structures, but about mending broken spirits and restoring a sense of normalcy and hope to hundreds of thousands of people facing an uncertain future. In response to the immense suffering, the Prime Minister's directive was translated into immediate, decisive action. The government's response was swift and massive, a clear demonstration of the no one left behind principle. An initial support package of 1,310 billion VND was quickly approved, followed by an additional 1,100 billion VND, bringing the total immediate financial aid from the central budget to 2,410 billion VND. This money was not just a number, it was a lifeline, designated for emergency relief, repairing critical infrastructure, and providing direct support to families who had lost everything. The goal was clear: get resources into the hands of those who needed them most, without delay or bureaucratic red tape. Alongside financial aid, the government moved quickly to address the most immediate human need: hunger. A total of 7,000 tons of rice from the National Reserve were allocated to the stricken provinces. This was crucial in preventing a food crisis in areas where markets were flooded and supply chains were broken. In a powerful display of national unity, the Vietnam Fatherland Front Central Committee also mobilized, allocating 80 billion VND to the 4 hardest-hit provinces. The Ministry of Health dispatched essential medical supplies, including 6 tons of chemicals for water purification, 150,000 disinfectant tablets, and thousands of family medical kits to prevent the outbreak of disease in the aftermath of the floods. The heroes of this operation were the tens of thousands of dedicated personnel on the ground. The military and public security forces became the backbone of the rescue and relief efforts. The People's Army deployed over 44,000 officers and soldiers, along with more than 2,200 vehicles and even helicopters, to airdrop essential goods to isolated communities. They were the ones wading through chest-deep water to evacuate the elderly and children. Prepared even sooner, by the end of November 2025, so that children could return to their studies and communities could access health care. These concrete goals transformed the relief effort from a general response into a focused mission with measurable outcomes, driven by the singular goal of restoring life to normal as quickly as humanly possible. While the immediate focus was on rescue and relief, Prime Minister Phạm Minh Chính leadership looked beyond the current crisis towards a more resilient future. He emphasized that this disaster, while exacerbated by record rainfall, also exposed long-standing vulnerabilities in planning and infrastructure. The repeated cycle of flooding in the same areas was a painful lesson that could not be ignored. The Prime Minister called for a frank and thorough review of the root causes: outdated drainage systems, overwhelmed by rapid urbanization, illegal construction encroaching on canals and rivers, and urban planning that had not kept pace with development. This was a moment for introspection and a catalyst for fundamental change. The directive was clear: Vietnam must shift from a reactive posture of responding and overcoming to a proactive strategy of preventing and avoiding. This requires a comprehensive reassessment of national and regional master plans, the Prime Minister ordered a full-scale review of all reservoir and hydroelectric dam operating procedures to ensure their discharge processes are managed safely and scientifically, preventing man-made floods downstream. He stressed the need for modern, integrated infrastructure solutions such as building larger drainage systems and creating green spaces in cities that can absorb excess rainwater, turning a threat into a resource. This long-term vision aims to break the cycle of disaster and rebuild smarter. To support the economic recovery of the affected population, the government initiated a multi-pronged approach. The State Bank of Vietnam was instructed to work with commercial banks to reschedule, freeze, and reduce loan payments for affected households and businesses. Furthermore, new preferential credit packages are to be launched to help people rebuild their farms, businesses, and livelihoods. The Ministry of Finance was tasked with implementing policies on tax and fee exemptions and reductions to ease the financial burden. This comprehensive financial support system is designed not just to provide a handout, but a hand up, empowering people to get back on their feet and restart their economic lives. Ultimately, the message from that 2 o'clock meeting continues to echo. A resolute commitment from the entire political system to act decisively and compassionately. The government's swift and comprehensive response underscores a deep-seated belief that the state's greatest responsibility is the well-being of its citizens. The Prime Minister's final words were a promise of action and solidarity, a vow that the government would stand with the people, work tirelessly to rebuild their lives, and invest in a future where communities are safer and more resilient. In this time of national trial, Vietnam is showing its strength, not just in rebuilding what was lost, but in its unwavering determination to ensure that no one is ever left behind.